ARTIC SILENCE. Kurt Jensen the Fixer. Short story. Location: Svalbard is a remote Norwegian archipelago located in the Arctic Ocean, well north of mainland Europe. The proximity to the North Pole is about 1,300 kilometers, 810 miles south of the geographic North Pole. Main island: Spitsbergen, largest and most populated, of around 2,500 people. Main settlement: Longyearbyen, around 2,000 people. Other settlements: Nylesund Research Community, Barentsburg Russian mining town, and a few seasonal outposts. No indigenous population and no burials due to the permafrost. The hospital was not set up for childbirth. This was all done on the mainland. The wind never stopped on the island of Svalbard in Norway. Kurt Jensen could feel it inside the Longyearbyen airport terminal, a constant, low moan seeping through the steel and glass, a reminder that the Arctic gave no quarter. On arrival at Mary Ann's Polarig Hotel, Kurt was told by the hotel manager that the Pathfinder 1 drilling rig crew had left 2 days earlier to start their 28 days off. The hotel minibus took them a few kilometers down the road to the airport for their flight to Oslo, except one crew member was missing. 24 hours earlier, the chairman of Pathfinder Drilling in Oslo had called First Step Security in Houston. He needed to talk to Kurt Jensen. He knew Kurt's reputation for being discreet, someone who wouldn't need police assistance and would keep the media out of Pathfinder's business to do the job. John Ellis was a very experienced driller and one of the few men Pathfinder would feel comfortable drilling deepwater wells, the type of exploration now being drilled in the Arctic. Kurt was told that John had checked into his hotel room, but since then no one had seen him. Kurt was given the key card to room 33. Kurt went up and found the room empty. The room was neat. Suitcase open, clothes folded. Phone and passport on the nightstand. That wasn't right. Kurt had handled lots of disappearances in the past. A passport left behind was a silent scream for help. Next, he checked the hotel's security video footage. Ellis had walked out of the hotel alone at 10 p.m. It revealed he was dressed for the cold. He was heading toward the dock area. Kurt walked the same route through packed snow and ice-covered pavements until he reached the docks. There was no sign of him anywhere. No cameras were set up beyond the edge of town. There was nothing but wasteland between him and the next settlement, a Russian mining town called Barentsburg. He met with Captain Lund, Pathfinder's onshore drilling manager, that evening. John Ellis was worried. Lund said over black coffee and reindeer stew. John thought the Norwegian oil company in Oslo weren't being told the full story about the well. "What's that mean?" Kurt asked. "Something about hydrates." Lund didn't elaborate, but he gave Kurt a name: Dr. Sophie Neisted, a geologist who had looked at core samples sent in from the rig. She had raised environmental questions concerning this oil field. Kurt met with Dr. Neisted the next morning in the hotel lounge. She explained that deep gas pockets of hydrates naturally occur, ice-like shale substance that formed when water and gas combine under high pressure. But in the core samples sent in from the well, there were signs of living organisms, millions of years old. That stayed dormant, but if came into contact with blood and digestive juices, would become a biological virus, and if allowed to migrate into warmer oceans would cause an uncontrollable pandemic, infecting fish and then people. "I warned the Ned Oil Company man on the rig," she said. "The well is unstable. If gas pressure builds up in the well, it would fracture the shale around the well bore, allowing the gas to seep to the ocean surface and find its way into the Gulf Stream." John believed me. I gave him a flash drive with the results of the core samples. Tests ran in a lab in Oslo. He told me he needed more proof. What kind of proof? She looked scared. He took a boat that night from the docks. He was going out to the rig to retrieve the electric wireline logs for the well, logs run on the same day he had left the rig. Kurt frowned. "Alone?" She nodded. John didn't trust anyone. He was going to sneak aboard the rig and take the rolls of electric wireline logs from the company man's office while he was sleeping, and then return to Svalbard, flying to Oslo the following morning, and hand over all the information to the Pathfinder management. Kurt walked back to the docks and talked to the dock manager. He asked if any boats were missing. The dock manager confirmed that a small fishing boat had left 2 nights before. Kurt flew to Pathfinder 1 that afternoon, under the cover of a routine health and safety inspection. As the helicopter came close, he saw the huge rig looming up against the Arctic sky, the semi-submersible rig floating in freezing waters with icebergs in the distance. On arrival, Kurt first checked in with the OIM, the offshore installation manager, and informed him of his inspection. During his walk around the moon pool area, he found the fishing boat tethered behind one of the pontoons. He saw signs of blood on one of the handrails, but no sign of John Ellis. Later that evening, Kurt spoke to the night drilling supervisor, a quiet man named Breivik. Kurt was very good at sizing up people, and could see this guy was hiding something. Kurt just looked the man in the eyes and said, "If you are holding Ellis against his will, this is kidnapping, and you are looking at a long jail sentence." The pressure was too much for Breivik, and he cracked. "Okay," he said. Ellis got aboard the rig. He was caught taking the wireline logs. The Ned Company man told me to hold John in one of the storerooms near one of the ballast tanks until he decided what to do with him. "So what about the blood on the handrail?" Breivik said, "I think he slipped and cut his wrist on the metal floor grating. He was bleeding a lot, and I was told not to involve the medic." Kurt told Breivik to inform the company man and the OIM that he wanted to see them both immediately. The 3 men gathered in the OIM's office. "I am Kurt Jensen with First Step Security and have been contracted by the chairman of Pathfinder Drilling to locate John Ellis and see he returns to his family in the UK as soon as possible." The Ned manager said, "Yes, I've heard of you. They call you the Fixer." Kurt's voice was like ice. "If you do as you are told, the 3 of you will keep your jobs. If not, I will make sure you are looking for new jobs tomorrow. First, you will take me to where you are holding John. The medic will also come to attend to his injured wrist. The radio operator will be instructed to send a chopper from town, and John and I will return to Svalbard." Looking at the Ned manager, Kurt told him, "You need to hand over the electric downhole logs. These will be interpreted by a friend of mine in Schlumberger in Oslo before I present them to the Norwegian Exploration and Development Board members." Back in Svalbard, Kurt, John Ellis and Dr. Sophie Neistat boarded a plane bound for Oslo. Kurt and Dr. Sophie Neistat presented their findings to the Ned board members. The decision was taken to plug and abandon the well and suspend all operations. The rig was instructed to move to the west side of Scotland to drill deep water exploration wells, with no plans to ever return to the Arctic field. With John Ellis safely at home and the well sealed, no media or governmental issues, Kurt's contract was concluded and payment was made to his money pit account in the Cayman Islands. The truth would never surface.